Welcome to today's presentation of injection safety. This is about a half an hour course, probably a little bit shorter, and then we have some time for Q&A at the end. My name is Allison Thurber. I'm a nurse at the Rhode Island Department of Health and a infection prevention training liaison for Project Firstline Rhode Island. We do have our subject matter expert, Dr. Kearney, here. I'll invite her to come on screen and say hi.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here on this Monday. Let us know if there's anything we can help with. We'll be monitoring the chat and the Q&A box as well.
Yep. So as Dr. Kearney says, our Q&A box, whether you have your taskbar on the top or the bottom, is located in your taskbar. The Q&A box, you can put any questions related to the injection safety course. And then the chat box, you can chat with others who are in this webinar as well, or you can send us a quick message on there if you have a question, if it's not related to, the questions at the end or beginning. And then as the webinar goes on, we can answer your questions or we can save them for the end if it's a great group question. So if you haven't done so, again, please just be sure to fill out the pre-session survey. There we go. Please be sure to fill out the pre-session survey. That will be required for any continuing education credits. And that does close at the beginning of the session. So I'm dragging out the time, giving you a few seconds if you still need to do so. So I'd like to start with the continuing education reminders, just so that everybody knows what they need prior to going along and doing the course, if you are looking to get any continuing education credits. So for CNE, specifically nursing credits, you need to do the pre-session survey, which I just mentioned, and Abby has put into our chat. Attend the live training. Then there'll be a post-session survey and a post-session quiz. And those will be emailed to you tomorrow. Make sure that you do those, and then you will get your blanking on words today. You will get your certification of completion and your credits via email. And if you, for some reason you don't get them, please email us and we'll send it your way. So today's agenda, we just did introductions. We are going to talk about single dose versus multi-dose vials and injection safety according to single dose and multi-dose vial recommendations. So what are single dose and multi-dose vials? Importance of infection control when using multi-dose vials, safety steps of multi-dose vial education will be shown in a quick video. Then we'll recap what steps do we follow when we're using a multi-dose vial. We'll have some end of session feedback time, which is like a quick little poll for you guys. And we'll have our Q&A if you have any questions. So today's learning objectives are to understand the difference between a single dose vial and a multi-dose vial. Discuss 2 reasons why injection safety actions are important when you're using multi-dose vials, and to be able to describe at least 4 injection safety steps when you're using a multi-dose vial. This course we're going to go over some steps, then we'll watch a video, then we'll recap. It's a little repetitive, but it's meant to be so in its nature. It's a pretty, based on our other courses, it's a pretty simple course, a pretty basic course, down to the basics. But it is intended to be so, to just go over those really important steps to make sure that our patients and we are safe when we are giving an injection. All right. So first, let's start with what are single dose vials. So a single dose or single use vial is a vial of liquid medication intended for parenteral administration, parenteral being injection or infusion, that is meant for use in a single patient for a single case, single procedure, or injection, one-time use. Single dose or single use vials are labeled as such by the manufacturer and typically lack an antimicrobial preservative. So again, it's once you open it, it's that one use. There have been multiple outbreaks resulting from healthcare personnel using single dose or single use vials for multiple patients. Even if a single dose or single use vial appears to contain multiple doses or contain more medication that is needed for your single patient, I know waste not, want not, but that vial should not be used for more than one patient or stored for future use on the same patient. It should be discarded after you use that one vial. So single dose vials and multi-dose vials pose different safety risks. And when you are giving a single dose vial injection, there are some things to consider. So first, single dose vials are labeled for one-time use. Use it one time. Access a single use vial only once. Do not pool leftover contents. Pool being using remaining contents in the vial that were left over from the last injection or last use and putting them together. And discard when sterility is compromised, the vial is already open, or when it's past expiration. So that brings us to multi-dose vials. So a multi-dose vial is a vial of liquid medication intended for parenteral administration, again, either injection or infusion, that contains more than one dose of medication. Multi-dose vials are labeled as such by the manufacturer and typically contain an antimicrobial preservative to help prevent the growth of bacteria, because you are going to be using it for longer, accessing it multiple times, etc. The preservative has no effect on viruses and does not protect against contamination when healthcare personnel fail to follow safe injection practices. The preservative just preserves the actual injection or parenteral medication for as long as it's needed once it's open. But again, no effect on growth of bacteria, so you still need to be careful and use safe injection steps. So multi-dose vials are different from single-dose vials, of course, in several ways, and require important injection safety consideration. So multi-dose vials pose more contamination risk because needles are usually put into the bottle more times to fill out individual doses for separate patients. The process of accessing that vial more than once creates an opportunity for spreading infections. A clean syringe and a clean needle need to be used every time. If a needle or syringe is reused or gets dirty and then goes into that vial, anything that's on the needle or syringe can end up in that vial and then contaminate all of the liquid medication inside of it. And do not use vials that you suspect are contaminated. So diseases like hepatitis and HIV can spread this way. So this happens each year in the US and it can be avoided. So if a patient gets an injection from a vial that could be contaminated, then public health authorities must be notified immediately, and everyone who got a dose from that vial has to be contacted and followed so that they can be tested to find out whether or not they did get that infection. All right, so next we are going to watch a quick little video on multi-dose vial safety, and then we'll go over those steps one by one and break it down.
Many vaccines, including the current vaccines for COVID-19, come in small bottles with more than one dose of vaccine inside of them. These multi-dose vials are accessed multiple times to vaccinate multiple people with a fresh needle and fresh syringe every time. Using multi-dose vials safely helps ensure they don't become dirty and possibly harm people. That's why it's really important to follow injection safety steps and instructions from the vaccine maker when using a multi-dose vial. Here are 10 injection safety steps to remember when working with multi-dose vaccine vials. However, depending on the vaccine maker may recommend additional steps, so be sure to check before starting. Step 1. Always prepare multi-dose vial injections away from patient care spaces in a designated clean area. Preparing multi-dose vials in a separate space helps ensure they are handled correctly and decreases the chance for mistakes. Step 2. Clean your hands before you touch the vial so that you don't get germs from your hands onto the vial, because they could get inside the vial and contaminate the vaccine. Step 3. Check the label to make sure it is a multi-dose vaccine vial. If it's not, the vial should only be used once for a single patient. Next, confirm the vaccine is not expired. Expired vaccines may not work as well and should not be used. Step 4. Look and see if the vaccine appears the way the maker of the vaccine tells you it should. If it doesn't, or you're worried something has gotten inside the vial and made it dirty, don't use it. It could be contaminated. Step 5. Use a brand new sterile needle and brand new sterile syringe for every vaccine dose. Just using a new needle is not enough. You must use a new needle and new syringe, because if the syringe is dirty or has been used, Blood can get into the vial when you draw up the vaccine, even if it looks clean, risking the spread of viruses like hepatitis C or HIV. Step 6. Disinfect the top part of the vial stopper, with an alcohol prep pad every time. There are a lot of germs on the top of the vial. If it's not clean, then when you insert the needle into the vial, germs can get pushed into the vial, contaminating it so the vaccine inside can't be used. If it is used, those germs could be injected into patients and make them sick. Step 7. Let the top dry before sticking the needle in. This gives the alcohol time to kill any germs that may be on top of the vial. Step 8. The first time you put the needle in the vial, write the date and time it was opened on the label to help prevent the vaccine from being given to a patient beyond its use date. Step 9. Follow the vaccine maker's instructions for storage and for how long you can use the vaccine after you first access the vial, which varies by product. Beyond use or improperly stored vials must be thrown away. Step 10. Never pool doses. Combining partial doses from multiple vials to make one dose for a patient can increase the risk of germs or other stuff getting into the vaccine, which can make people sick. By following injection safety steps and vaccine maker instructions every time, you will help keep yourself, your colleagues, and your patients safe.
Okay. So now, as promised, we are going to review all the steps that the video just went over a little bit slower. You can ask any questions that you may have, put them in the Q&A box or the chat box. So step 1 is to always prepare multi-dose vial injections away from the patient care spaces in a designated clean area. Preparing multi-dose vials in a separate space helps to ensure that they're handled correctly and decreases the chance for mistakes and distraction. Step 2, clean your hands before you touch that vial. So you don't want to get germs from your hands onto the vial, because that could contaminate the vial and contaminate the vaccine or the medication in that vial. You can use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer or soap and water, whatever's your preferred method there. Next, you want to make sure that you check the label and be sure that it's actually a multi-dose vial vaccine or medication. If it's not, the vial should be used one time and then discarded. And as you see in this picture, it says multi-dose vial right on the front, as it should in real life. You should see on the vial that it's labeled as multi-dose vial. If it's not, or you're questioning whether it's multi-dose or single dose, you can always call the pharmacy. Next, you want to be sure to check the expiration date. If the vial has not already been accessed, but does not have, if the vial has already been accessed, but does not have an expiration date on it, you should also discard that vial. Once you open that vial, it needs to be dated. If it's not dated, then you don't know the beyond use date. So it could have gone bad in the time that it's been open. So make sure that you know the expiration and beyond use date. Step 5, look and see if the vaccine appears the way that the maker of the vaccine tells you it should. So if it doesn't look like you think it does, or you're worried something might have gotten inside the vial and made it dirty, don't use it. It could be contaminated. For example, a vaccine that's supposed to look clear, all of a sudden today you look at it, it looks cloudy, and you're like, wait a second, I think it used to look clear. I'm not really sure. Call the pharmacy. You can look it up. If you can't figure it out, then don't use it. Step 6, you must use a new needle and new syringe every single time. So if the syringe is dirty or has been used, blood can get into the vial when you draw up the vaccine, contaminating the vaccine vial. So even if it looks clean, you could be risking the spread of viruses like Hep C or HIV, any of those bloodborne viruses. Step 7, you want to make sure that you disinfect the top part of the vial, called the vial stopper, with an alcohol prep pad every time you access that vaccine. So many germs can live on the tops of the vials And if it's not disinfected, when you insert the needle, the germs can get pushed into the vial and then contaminate the vaccine and potentially make patients ill. When you do decontaminate the top of that vial with the alcohol prep pad, make sure that you let the top dry before sticking the needle in. This is adhering to our cleaning and disinfection guidelines of dry time. So you want to make sure that you are following the guidance of your disinfectant. And for a disinfectant to be effective, it needs to dry or be left alone on the top of the surface for a certain period of time before you touch it in order to do its job. So again, make sure that once you swab the top with alcohol, that you give it time to kill those germs before you just access the vial. Step 9, the first time you put the needle in the vial, write the time it was opened and the date on the label to help prevent the vaccine from being given to a patient beyond its use date. And step 10, follow the vaccine maker's instructions for storage and how long you can use vaccine after you first access the vial, which does vary by product. So beyond use or improperly stored vials must be thrown away. And our last step, never pool doses. Pooling, again, is combining partial doses from multiple vials to make one dose for a patient. And that could increase the risk of germs getting into the vaccine, which could make people ill. One dose should come from one vial. Also, if there was something wrong with one vial, we had to look into it. If you gave someone a dose from multiple vials, you wouldn't know exactly what vial the issue came from, right? So let's recap. There is a great downloadable poster that you can see here, and I'll have our team put it in the chat. It's great for hanging in med rooms or huddle areas or a med cart, and it goes over all the tips that we reviewed today. So we're going to do a little poll question. So on your screen, a question and answer will pop up. You can select the choice that you best fits the answer. And then we'll go over the results. They are anonymous. It's just a quick little poll. So first question, it is acceptable to prepare a multi-dose vial medication in a patient room as long as the vial never touches the patient. So is that true or is that false? Go ahead and select the best answer here. We'll give you a few seconds. It is acceptable to prepare a multi-dose vial medication in a patient room as long as the vial never touches that patient. All right, looks like most answered false, and that is correct. It is not acceptable to prepare a multi-dose vial medication in a patient room because you don't want any cross-contamination, you don't want any distractions. It should be in a neutral space. And if you're bringing a vial into a patient room, you're in that patient's space. You don't want to get any sort of contamination on that vial for when you use it for somebody else. So again, like a med room, a med cart, if you don't have, a stereotypical med room, in a quiet space is best. All right, next little poll question. It is acceptable to combine several multi-dose vials to make up one dose for a patient. Is that true? Is that false? It is acceptable to combine several multi-dose vials to make up one dose for a patient. False. 100% answered false, and that is correct. It is called pooling, and this does not follow multi-dose vial infection control safety steps. A single dose should be obtained from a single vial. All right, another poll question here. True or false? If a multi-dose vial has been accessed but is not labeled with a date, it is recommended to waste the contents of the vial and throw it out. True or false? If a multi-dose vial has been accessed but it is not labeled with a date, it is recommended to waste the contents and throw out the vial. The answer to this one is true. The date a vial is first accessed must be written to know when to discard that vial. The vaccine may be past the use by date. However, it is unknown due to the missing information. So you don't want to give a patient a vaccine that's not active. All right, and our last poll question, true or false? The same syringe can be used for multiple patients as long as the needle is sterile and changed every time. True or false? The same syringe can be used for multiple patients as long as this needle is sterile and changed every time. All right, looks like most of you selected false, and that is correct. The same syringe cannot be used for multiple patients. Each patient requires a new sterile needle and a new syringe. There we go. So lastly, before we end, CDC has some great resources on their website, along with a one needle, one syringe, one only, wow, I can't say that. Let's try again. One needle, one syringe, only one time campaign to remind members of the community and healthcare workers about needle safety and the risk that they have in spreading germs and bloodborne pathogens. So please check it out. They have really great resources for your workplace. They have FAQs, checklists, handouts for patients, videos, posters. Great resource. And today's key takeaways. Injection safety actions are important. Multi-dose vials require a specific set of safety procedures that are different from those of single-dose vials. Multi-dose vials pose more contamination risk because they are often accessed more times than one. And contaminated vaccines and medications cannot be used. They must be discarded. Even if you're questioning if it's contaminated or doesn't look right, it's better to discard than use it. So here are some of the resources for today. So we do post our upcoming live webinars on our Project Firstline Rhode Island webpage, as well as all of our social media. So go ahead and follow us on social media if you want any updates about any of our upcoming sessions or any of the new stuff that we're working on. You can also connect with us there. Speaking of upcoming sessions, we do have 2 upcoming sessions. Very timely, measles in healthcare setting is going to be on May 5th by my colleague, Jacob Piguero. This will be in English. And then May 19th, also by Jacob, but in Spanish. Yes, he speaks 2 languages. We are going to be doing a cleaning and disinfection for EVS staff part 1. You don't have to be EVS staff to join. However, you do have to be Spanish speaking. But it's great refresher for anybody who wants to be up to date on the latest cleaning and disinfection guidelines and practices. You can sign up in the link that is in our PowerPoint here or on our website. So these are the references for today's session. And again, certificate of training, like we went over in, sorry, popped up a little quickly for end of session feedback. Certificate of training requirements we went over at the beginning. So pre-session survey should be done, should be completed. Then we did our live session. Next, you will get your post-session survey. That'll be linked via email, and then be sure to complete it by May 5th. It closes at midnight. And there is a post-session quiz that is required for CNEs. Make sure that if you are looking to get your nursing credit for this course, that you complete the post-session quiz. For all other continuing education, that is optional, but go ahead and complete that again if you're looking to get your CNEs. And then May 8th, we will send you a cute little PDF with your certificate in there and your CEU hours, which this course is 0.5 because it's listed as a half hour. So if you have a moment, please go ahead and fill out our end of session feedback. That should pop up on your screen. It just helps us see, if this was an effective training for you, if you'd recommend it. Fill that out there. And as we're filling it out, I am going to go ahead and go on to the Q&A section. You can still fill out your form there, but I just want to make sure we have some time for this. Also, I did misspeak. Jacob is not doing measles on May 5th. It's actually going to be done by Dr. Kearney. And usually we have our infection prevention liaisons doing it. And at this time, we have our subject matter expert. So if you really want to be in for a treat, she's going to love them saying this, join measles on May 5th, because we're all looking forward to seeing Dr. Kearney present. I don't see any questions in the chat. I'm quickly trying to go up and see.
I don't see anything, Allie. I think we're okay.
We're all messed up with names today.
Holly's name popped up on my screen.
Okay, I think we're good then. So we're gonna log off. Again, thank you so much. If you have any questions, please feel free to email them to us, and we look forward to seeing you on May 5th for our measles training. Thank you all.